Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Premiership Quarter. Today, I'm going to be doing my Gold Coast predictions for the 2024 season. I'm going to be talking about their starting 23 that I have predicted. I'm going to be talking about their awards, including their best and fairest, who I have finishing in their top three. I will be talking about their ins and outs from the off season, as well as where I have them finishing in my ladder. I predicted that in another video, so I'll put that in the description for you to watch after this one to, share my content. It'd be much appreciated. So, with that out of the way, let's get the video started. To start with, I'm going to talk about their key defensive stocks. I actually really like them. I think Sam Collins is a excellent one-on-one defender. He can get caught out at times, but when you're on great key forwards, that's just what will happen. You're never going to be 100% in one-on-ones. I like Charlie Ballard as an interceptor. I think he had a great back half of the season last year. And with how Vlosten was used for Richmond under Hardwick, as well as Dylan Grimes, I think he has a similar skill set to a mix of those two. He's got more of the body of Dylan Grimes, yet he's got the game style of a Nick Vlosten. I think his intercepting game will become a real weapon for the Gold Coast, and he'll be, in my opinion, in the 44-man squad for next season because I have Gold Coast being successful. And their last position I have is Mac Andrew. I think he locked the position down last year. They lost a couple pieces in Burgess that I'll talk about later, who I don't think will take his spot anyway. And I also see Lukosius playing forward, who has played back at times in his career. And I think Mac Andrew will be a near superstar defender. I think he's got excellent potential in the air. His reading of the game is exceptional. Him coming off as that third man in packs will be one of the best things you'll watch if you're looking for it. He is just his game reading, I think, is top five defenders. Like, it's something else if you watch it. So I think it's a great thing for them to have as those three keys. Bit of speed with Mac Andrew as well. So it's not like, because Collins and Ballard are quite slow, they're not really going to keep up with you on a lead either, but Mac Andrew will. So I think it's a great mix between the three. And then their smalls, I think Powell is the obvious one. I think he could have a breakout year. He just needs to be healthy. He's had some really, really bad injuries over the past few years, and him being healthy will help his game only get better. So I see that as a huge bonus for them if he plays every game. And then Lemons and Butterick, I think there's a couple players who could fill in that position for them. Obviously, they've got McPherson, who's played there at times last year, as well as Ben Long, who came from St Kilda at the end of 2022, I think. So they've got a couple players that can fill in, but I think it will be Lemons. I think he's their best lockdown in terms of pure one-on-one ability as a small defender. And then Butterick, I think, provides a bit of that speed, where Powell is just great with his kicking. He's able to find those 45s inside almost every time. I think Butterick's got a bit more of that speed, and he's still very polished with his kicking ability. So I think they've got a really great back six, which is what Hardwick likes. To talk about their wingers, it is the more experienced. They've got Ellis, who's obviously left Richmond under Hardwick and now is back with him. I think he'll be pretty good for them, but I think by the end of the season, he might be out of the team, but I don't know who for. They lost Jeremy Sharp and Elijah Holland, who could have taken his place. So I don't necessarily think there's a one-to-one replacement for him. And then Lockwell is the other one who I just think he needs to stay healthy and then he'll be good for them. It's just as simple as that for me. Now, talking about their forward line, I think Ben King, is the obvious one. He's going to have that extra year under his belt from that knee surgery, the ACL. He'll be only better for it. He started off a bit slow, but worked himself into a few games last year. Just wasn't consistent at all. And it's understandable as a young player coming off an ACL injury. And I think the other two tools, I don't think it'll be Casbolt. I think Jed Walter does get in the team over him. Obviously, he's injured and he'll probably miss the first 3 or 4 rounds. but by the time their bye comes early in the season, I think he'll be back by then. And I think the third tall is Lukosius. He has been thrown around in a few positions in his career. He's played wing and he's played half back, but I think last year he did settle into that forward position quite well. So I like those three as a mix. You've got King as that athletic type. You've got Walter as that big-bodied forward, and then you've got Lukosius, who's more of that up-the-ground third, who's just got a beautiful kick. Like you saw against Geelong, he can kick it from 70. It's just unreal, his ability with the ball on his foot. Now to talk about their ruck and midfield, I think Witts locks the position for the next couple years. Wait till Ethan Reid develops, and then you've got another ruckman who'll just be playing there for his career more than likely. Their midfield, it's Miller, it's Anderson, and it's Rowell. Miller just got back from that injury and didn't really look the same. He'll have the preseason to get fully healthy, and I think it'll be best for him. It'll be better for Anderson because he won't have to carry all that load. He'll be able to push forward more because Miller is that two-way running midfielder, and it'll be great for him because he'll be able to hit the scoreboard a bit more, and that's the player that Gold Coast need, I believe, in their midfield. And then you've got Rowell, who's that in and under bull midfielder. He'll probably lead the league for tackles again. I don't see anyone really overtaking him. I think Steele is probably close, and so is Rowbottom, but I don't think they'd get to his levels if he does the same thing as he did last year. And then their bench, I've got Holman. I think he'll be that forward, that medium forward that is just, if they've got a running halfbacker they're playing against, like a Sinclair or a Stewart, he'll go to them. He just does the dirty work for them, really. They've got Flanders and Atkins. Atkins, I think, played pretty well at the back half of last season. So simply based on the form that he might carry over, I've got him in the team. And then Flanders obviously did the same sort of thing. I believe that was that St Kilda game right when Drew got sacked, was when he broke out onto the scene. I think he had 27 touches. It might have been even 30. And he's just really showed the midfielder he could be. So I believe he'll be on the bench. I think he'll be that fourth midfield. I don't think he gets above any of the other three. And then off the bench, they've also got David Swallow. He'll just be a leadership option. I think Damien Hardwick will go with him simply because I think they do need a bit of leadership in that forward line specifically. They also have their three smalls that I have in Ainsworth, Humphrey, and Roses. I think Roses might just need to be a bit more consistent with his game. He'll be in and out of the team more than likely. I've got Ben Ainsworth, who I think can make a real jump. He'll be that forward midfielder for them, that fifth mid who plays 25% midfield time throughout the season. And then they've got Humphrey, who will just be that game breaker for them. Hardwick has come out and said he's got Dusty-like potential, which I think's a bit far, but I think he's got at least close to a Petrarca level. And I don't think Petrarca's hit that Dusty level either. So I just think if he can find consistency in terms of impact in the games, whether he's kicking 2 or 3 goals, I don't think will matter for them because they've got firepower. I just think if he can be that excitement player for them throughout the season, it'll be perfect. And then as their sub, I've got Joel Jeffrey. He can just play in every position. To talk about their awards, best and fairest, I've got Noah Anderson. I do have Gold Coast winning, and I have Anderson being their best midfielder. So I just think that sort of goes hand in hand. So I think he'll poll really well in the Brownlow, and then he'll win their best and fairest. Second, I've got King. Ben, I've got him about 6th or 7th in my Coleman. I think if Gold Coast become a really attacking team, then he'll probably finish a bit higher because he is that clear number one option for them. I don't think he'll break the 70 mark, but he could get the 60 mark, which will be a great season for him. And then third, I've got Took Miller. If he plays every game, we know how good he is, and there's not much more to say with him. Then most goals, obviously, King. Second, I've got Jed Walter. I think he is a great chance with the Rising Star Award. If he plays every game after he gets back and kicks close to 40 goals, similar to what Jaya Miss did, then he'll have a great shot at it. I don't think there'll be a definitive answer. Harley Reid, there's going to be so much pressure on him to perform. The expectations are so high, and that if he doesn't live up to it, even if he has a great season for a rookie, then there might be a bit of media backlash, which might just be in the heads. And then I've got third, I've got Bailey Humphrey. Again, he might not need to kick this many goals, and it might be someone like Lukosius, but I think Lukosius will be playing really high up the field and being used as more of a connecting piece rather than a goal kicking forward. Now, to talk about their most improved, I do have Humphrey, simply because he didn't play a lot of games last year. I think he only played 13 or 14. So I have him playing every game this year, which is an improvement in and of itself, finding that consistency in your game. And I just think he'll be able to provide that impact, kind of similar to what Shea Bolton would do for Richmond. Second, I've got King, simply because he had a down year for what we've seen from him last year, coming from back from that ACL. So I think he'll bounce back to his best form and probably even better than that. And then third, I've got Mac Andrew, because as I talked about earlier, I just think he's a gun, and I think he'll probably be one of the best key defenders in the league in no time at all. Now, to talk about their off-season, they obviously had that stupidly good draft, getting 4 picks inside the top 20 or something. I don't think it's fair for AFL teams, but that can be a separate video in and of itself. In terms of trade, they didn't really get anyone from what I see. They got a couple people from the rookie draft, but that's it. And then they traded out Mabior Chol, Burgess, and Hollands as the real players that would have had a chance at game time. Hollands was barely in the team for most of the season, and then Burgess was probably the best forward in the VFL last season. So I just think they didn't really lose anyone important to them. Mabior Chol also didn't play any games, and they're only going to get internal improvement. So I just think the sky's the ceiling really for them when you think about it. The amount of talent and the amount of top picks that are on this team, it just makes you think how they've failed so many seasons in a row. To talk about where I have Gold Coast finishing, I have them finishing 7th, which means they would play Melbourne in my ladder predictor. They'd have them in Melbourne, so it would be at the MCG. And in terms of the matchup wise, I think their defense would be in a pretty good position against Melbourne's forwards. I think Powell would deal quite well with Shane McAdam. I think that'd be the matchup. I think Lemons could have a tough matchup with Pickett at times, especially when he gets up the ground and is able to run back on him. But I think Butterick would be able to take care of whoever else is in the Melbourne forward line. And then I don't think Van Rooyen would give Collins too much trouble. I think Ballard on whoever it's out of Brown or McDonald or Petty, I think he'd do a good enough job there. And then McAndrew would probably be on Bailey Frisch, and I think he'd be like a perfect matchup for it. I think their midfield would struggle simply because of the bigger bodies. I think Petrarca in there, Viney in there, Oliver, given he plays in there, I think it'd be a really tough matchup for them. But I think Flanders, if he has a big game, he'll be the one to do it for them. I think the ruck battle, I think Gawn would easily get Wits around the ground, and I don't think Gawn would lose too badly in the ruck to Wits. And then I think Melbourne's defense would be able to handle Gold Coast quite easily. I think May's a great matchup for Ben King. I think Jake Lever is good enough on Walter or Lukosius. And then whoever their third defender is might be McDonald. He'll be good enough on Lukosius because I don't think Lukosius will be as much in the forward 50 as what you might expect. So I don't have them beating Melbourne, but I think it'll be a low-scoring game if it were to happen. And I just think Melbourne at the end of the game kick 3 or 4 goals in the last more than what Gold Coast will. So I have them getting the game in their hands in the last. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Gold Coast. If you have any difference, leave them in the comments below. If you liked the video, please hit the like button. If you enjoy this type of content, hit the subscribe button. It will really share my content to other people and grow my channel. And that'd be much appreciated. And thanks for watching.